heart of a quiet, remote village in Delta State, Nigeria, lived a 12-year-old boy named Obinna. Life had been anything but easy for him. He had lost both his parents when he was just a baby, first his mother to a lingering illness, then his father to a tragic accident. The weight of grief surrounded Obinna's life from the start, but even so, he found light in his grandmother, Nkechi, who became his only family and the world he knew. Nkechi was well into her 80s, with deep wrinkles lining her face like a map of the struggles and triumphs of her life. She was a woman who had seen much: wars, famines, prosperity, and joy, and in her old age, she radiated wisdom that most could only dream of. She had raised Obinna with love, instilling in him the values of kindness, hard work, and resilience. But time had left her frail, and her once strong body now struggled to walk without the aid of a cane. Yet, her mind remained sharp, her spirit unbroken. Obinna, for all his youth, carried a heart filled with dreams far too large for the tiny village where he lived. He often watched the other children from his hut, longing to join them at school, but that dream seemed distant. With Nkechi unable to work, they barely scraped by with the little they could grow on the patch of land behind their modest mud house. Their existence was a cycle of survival, working the land, fetching water from the river, and trying to make ends meet. But Obinna was never bitter. If anything, he had an innate joy that few could understand. He would wake up each morning, sweeping their compound, helping Nkechi prepare food, and doing small tasks for the neighbors. His favorite task, however, was climbing the tall palm trees to harvest their fruits. Obinna would often gaze at the vast horizon from the top of those trees, feeling free and alive, as though nothing could ever hold him back. One evening, as he sat with Nkechi on the small veranda of their hut, watching the sun sink into the earth in a burst of orange and pink hues, Obinna turned to her. "Mama, one day, I will build you a big house," he said with confidence. His voice held a tone that was both childish and wise beyond his years. Nkechi chuckled, a soft sound that always soothed him. "Ah, my son," she replied, her voice raspy from age. "I need no big house. As long as we have each other, we have everything." Obinna smiled but didn't let go of his dream. His thoughts were far away, imagining a future where they no longer struggled, where he could go to school, and Nkechi could rest without worry. One fateful night, a heavy storm swept through the village. The winds howled, and the sky roared with thunder as rain fell in torrents, flooding the narrow dirt roads. The storm battered their fragile hut, water seeping through cracks in the thatched roof, drenching everything inside. Nkechi, already weak from age, coughed harshly, the cold air worsening her condition. Her frail body shivered, despite Obinna wrapping her in their only blanket. "Mama, you'll catch a fever," Obinna said, his voice filled with worry. Nkechi smiled weakly. "Do not worry about me, my child. I have lived through many storms." But Obinna knew this storm was different. The roof of their house was on the verge of collapse, and the ground beneath their feet turned to mud. They needed help, fast. Despite the fierce storm outside, Obinna knew he had no choice. With determination in his eyes, he left his grandmother in the driest part of the house, then ran out into the raging storm. His feet splashed through the flooded roads as the wind pushed against him, but Obinna pressed on. His destination was the house of the village chief, Chief Okocha, whose large concrete home was much sturdier than their own. If anyone could help, it was him. Obinna reached the chief's house, his small body drenched, his heart racing with fear for Nkechi. He knocked loudly on the door, the sound barely audible over the storm's fury. After what felt like an eternity, the chief's wife opened the door. "Obinna, what are you doing here in this storm?" she asked, shocked to see the boy out in such terrible weather. "Please, Mom Nkechi needs help," Obinna said breathlessly. "Our house is about to collapse." Without a moment's hesitation, Chief Okocha sent 2 of his men to help. They brought Obinna back to his house, where they found Mom Nkechi trembling but alive. Together, they carried her to the chief's house, where she was warmed by a fire and given medicine to ease her coughing. For 2 days, the storm raged on, but Obinna and Mom Nkechi were safe, thanks to his bravery. Word of Obinna's courage spread through the village, and soon the chief himself took notice. Chief Okocha, a kind-hearted leader, had always cared for the people of his community. Upon hearing the full story, he invited Obinna to his home. "My boy," the chief began, "I have heard of your bravery. You risked your life to save your grandmother. It shows great strength, and even greater love." Obinna bowed his head, feeling shy in the presence of the chief. "She is all I have," he said softly. Chief Okocha's face softened. "And for that reason, I will make sure you are given a chance to achieve your dreams. From today onward, you will attend school. I will sponsor your education. Your courage deserves to be rewarded." Over the next few months, Obinna's life transformed. With the chief's support, he began attending the local school. Though he was older than most of his classmates, Obinna excelled quickly. He was a fast learner, his curiosity knowing no bounds. Every day, he returned home eager to share what he had learned with Mom Nkechi, whose health, though still fragile, improved slightly in the warmth and security of the chief's home. But Obinna's dreams did not stop with school. As he grew older, he began to envision something even greater, a future where he could lift not only himself and Mom Nkechi out of poverty but the entire community. He wanted to give back to the village that had raised him, to ensure that no other child would suffer the way he had. Years passed, and Obinna, now a young man of 20, had become a symbol of hope and inspiration in the village. After completing his education, he earned a scholarship to study engineering at a university in Lagos, a rare opportunity for someone from such humble beginnings. But even as he traveled to the bustling city, Obinna never forgot where he came from. He returned to the village after his studies, armed not only with knowledge but with a vision. Obinna started a small foundation, dedicated to improving the lives of orphans and vulnerable children in Delta State. He returned to the village after his studies, armed not only with knowledge but with a vision. Obinna started a small foundation, dedicated to improving the lives of orphans and vulnerable children in Delta State. As Obinna walked through the halls of the school he built, he would often see himself in the eager faces of the children who, like him, carried dreams that stretched far beyond the horizon. And in the quiet moments, when the sun was setting and the fields were bathed in golden light, Obinna would sit with Mom Nkechi, now an old woman in her 90s, and remember the storm that had changed everything. "Obinna," Mom Nkechi would say with a smile, "you have given this village a gift that will last forever. Your kindness will be your infinity." And with that, Obinna knew that his journey, though long, was just the beginning of something that would live on long after he was gone. And with that, Obinna knew that his journey, though long, was just the beginning of something that would live on long after he was gone. Obinna Fin Eli proposed to the chief daughter, in a surprise way. The chief and his wife sitting together with Mom Nkechi, all drinking with all kinds of expensive drinks and foods on their tables. Then the chief said, "Mom Nkechi, we are now one big family." Obinna surprised the chief with a brand new car. "I would not have been where I am today, if not of you, sir. You make my dream come true." Then the kind replied and said, "Son, you are a great and intelligent son. You are son I would like to have that my God did not give to me, but today I am happy I acted and proud of you, son, the chief said. The next morning Obinna sat with his grandmother Momenkechi. Thank you, grandma, for not giving up on me, he said. Then Obinna grandma said, my son, I am more than happy, your parents will be very proud of in heaven. Now my son, since you have proposed to the chief daughter, when are we now going to do the traditional marriage, grandma asked Obinna. After some weeks it was the deal day for their traditional marriage. The occasion was filled the Obinna's friends that came from Lagos with their expensive. The bride and the bridegroom came out in a wonder traditional attire accompany their bridal asabi, both men and women. After their marriage Obinna and his wife took grandma to live with them. After some months Momenkechi finally joined her rest on. Obinna's wife became pregnant and later gave birth to a beautiful baby girl.